Hi, I'm Pat Shanley. Today we are at the Bronze Bird in the Gaslamp District, and I'm having a few beers with Gerard Alessandrini.
How you doing, Patrick?
Did I get it? Did I know?
Yeah,
Yes,
you got
hell
it.
Yeah. We were just talking about names, and my name is Patrick Shanley, and one of the things that I get all the time from people who are in theater at all is there's a very famous playwright and screenwriter named John Patrick Shanley. So
Sure.
I assume you know.
Are you related?
I'm not related. I also get that all the time.
So, yeah, I'm Gerard Alessandrini. You know, I always thought that my name was very unique, like very rare, you know, until I went to Italy and I realized there's millions of Alessandrinis. Over there, it's like Johnson.
Really?
It's like Alexander's son. It's so common. And nobody flinched when I said my name.
I was about to say, are you related? And be like, yeah, well, there's 2 million of them running around.
No, it's like, really, it's literally like Johnson. It's that common in Italy.
That's interesting. Yeah, because I'd never heard it before, but it's a beautiful name. It's fun to say.
It means, Alexander's son. So there's no X in Italian.
Okay.
So it's S.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, it's 2 S's, and Ini means son. So it's like saying Washington. You know, they probably named themselves after Alexander the Great or something like that.
This is great. We're getting, I was going to say etymology, and now I'm forgetting, what is the word for name? There's like a science of names, right? Like etymology, but for names specifically. This is great fodder for conversation.
Let me know, because maybe it'll make a good rhyme.
Yeah, exactly. You've been working on your play.
That said, being in show business, I wished I had shortened it. When I was on the cusp of some kind of fame.
But then you get to a level, and then it's almost like a flex to have a name like that. You know what I mean?
I don't know.
You don't think so?
I don't think. I haven't discovered that in all these years. And it's Alessandrini. It rhymes with meanie and teeny, words we don't like to rhyme.
Teeny's not great. I agree with that. But meanie couldn't be farther from
and
the
weenie.
truth. This is a family show. My mother.
I mean hot dog.
Oh, yes, of course.
Okay.
No, sorry. Well, then, Oscar Mayer is actually one of our sponsors, and that's great to work that in there. You have had quite a career. You're also a Tony winner.
I have a Tony.
Easily the first Tony winner that we've had on the show, unless I'm very surprised by other people that we've had on here. But it was for, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's for a lifetime contribution to theater.
It's for the body of work of Forbidden Broadway, my other spoof show, because the one we're going to talk about is Spamilton, which is a different spoof show of Hamilton. But Forbidden Broadway spoofs all the Broadway shows. And I did it for, I still do it once in a while. I've been doing it for 40 years, and we had a long run in New York. Now, it's not like a big Broadway show. It was a small off-Broadway show. And, off-Broadway is sort of suffering now, but off-Broadway was a big thing 20 years ago, so it did well.
How's a hit work on off-Broadway, on-Broadway, whatever it is, in the theater world? Like, when do you know it's a hit? Is it something immediate? It's not like a box office opening, is it? Well, I mean, there is a box office, but sure.
We did off-Broadway, so we were like in miniature, you know what I mean? But if it opens and you can't get a seat,
it's as simple as that? All right.
Right, you're making money, and if you've planned the money right, if you're selling all the seats, you're making a profit. Now, we never made a huge profit, but we usually made a good profit, or usually enough to keep running. So now the economics have changed a lot. Otherwise, we'd probably still be running in New York now.
How so? Just because the rents of the stages?
When we first did Forbidden Broadway with 4 actors and a pianist, it was, something like $6,000 a week to run.
Okay.
Really. You pay the actors like $800 a week, and the pianist and the stage manager. That was kind of it. And now it's like $35,000. The last one we did was $35,000.
Really?
Yeah. So you can't really do it at a small theater anymore. And the show should be at a small theater. Forbidden Broadway.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that because of, the unions, you have to pay actors more, or is it just inflation?
You do. The poor actors always got the least amount of money. They should get the most, I think. But they're the ones really working. But, it's advertisement cost, rental for the theater. Even if you rent the lights or sound, now you got to pay more. You got to have people involved in it. It's all, it's all expenses from all ends.
It's hard. It's got to be hard, I would imagine, because theater, unlike film or making YouTube videos or whatever it is, first off, it's a live performance, so it demands an audience, right? You need to have an audience. And then so many places, even if they have theaters in different cities, it's not like New York, where there's theaters kind of built into it and has this long, long history. So does that make it harder too?
No, I don't know what makes it. I just think it's economics. And it isn't like it vanished. It changed. To do a show like Forbidden Broadway, which was once considered a very small show, and Spamilton too, you'll see it's small, is not considered a small show anymore. There's a lot of shows on Broadway that they really can't afford more than 1 or 2 or 3 actors, So Forbidden Broadway is thought of as a medium-sized to large show. This is Forbidden Broadway.
Yeah.
Spamilton's a little different. We'll talk about. So just the economic, but I guess, economics probably always changed in every venue of business. It became the, how you make money is easier.
Yeah.
I mean, if we play a larger theater for a night, like we're going to do with Spamilton, and you sell out, there's more of a chance of making a profit because you'll make more money at the box office, but you're paying out more to get the show on.
Right.
So there's more room for profit. So, for example, like I said, when we did Spamilton or Forbidden Broadway before, if we were paying, $10,000 a week to run the show, and the show was making $12,000, that's good, right? You're in the black.
Right.
But that changed. So now if it's $35,000 a week to run the show, and you're making $25,000, you're not making a profit. Now, if we'd been in a larger theater, that makes a difference. So as we tour Spamilton, my spoof of Hamilton, we have been doing some larger theaters, like we're doing here in San Diego at the Balboa. So the numbers crunch better. That's all.
Do you find that having a play, it's funny because Forbidden Broadway spoofs so many plays, but because of that, maybe it like spreads out. But when it's one specific super play like Hamilton, which was this global sensation, does that get more butts and seats, do you find? And you've been doing this now for 9 years?
Well, it did certainly when we did it 9 years ago, close to Hamilton. And yes, I've been doing Forbidden Broadway and variations of that, like Forbidden Hollywood and stuff, that spoof topical things that were going on. So topical shows. And then Hamilton came around, and even though I had lived in New York all my adult life, like 40 years, that was the biggest hit show that had arrived in New York since I was there.
Really? So for 40 years, that's how large this play was?
Yeah, I was trying to think, maybe it's the biggest hit since, definitely since The Chorus Line, but maybe even bigger.
Wow.
My Fair Lady About It, that was before my time. So I thought, well, instead of spoofing it in a Forbidden Broadway, I've got to spoof the whole show. I've got to spoof Hamilton, the whole thing. And that was a challenge because...
I would think so.
Because it's rap.
Yeah, okay, that was my main question I wanted to ask you, yes.
Okay, so I'm more of a traditional musical theater writer. Like my idols are like Cole Porter and Stephen Sondheim and Lerner and Lowe, Roger Hammerstein. You probably didn't
Not
know
hip-hop.
most of
I know who all those people are.
But there's a certain form to that, AABA, and the rhymes are real rhymes, and there's a certain wit or subtext to it all. And I knew how to do that pretty well, even spoof Sondheim, which he approved of. And but I didn't really know, and I had done In the Heights, a spoof of In the Heights.
In Forbidden Broadway?
In Forbidden Broadway. So I kind of knew what Lynn was doing. But I had to research and investigate the whole thing of what he was doing. And at first, I thought, well, how am I going to do rap, right? But it's got a lot of rhymes and words, and I'm good with words. So, but a friend of mine, I'll tell you this, you can broadcast it now, I guess.
This is live, actually.
So a friend of mine who's younger and more hip said, oh, I know how you can spoof rap. Just go to this site online. And they had a little 5-year-old boy. I forget his name, you probably could look him up. And he's like 5 or 6, and he's at a piano. He's really cute. He's really precocious and smart. And he said, this is how I write a rap song about my day. Like, I come home from school and I want cookies, but my mother says she doesn't have any milk and cookies to give me. And he wrote a rap song, and it was absolutely, because he was doing it so simply and clearly, it was absolutely clear to me how to do it. And that is right. That little example taught me how to write rap.
This is incredible. You started this, and I imagine you in a Sherlock Holmes hat, going through a discography of Snoop Dogg and everything. But it's even better. It came from the mind of a child.
Well, also, Lin-Manuel is a artist of the theater too. So, and he's got a huge palate. He knows all this stuff, right? So, as I went through the script and the score, which by that point had been recorded and published, you could buy the book, the Hamilton.
Oh, for Hamilton.
So I could see the whole thing, and the music. I could see that he was doing more than rap. It's got, he's got references to Roger Hammerstein, he's got references to Mozart, he's got references to Hoagie Carmichael,
That one went over my head.
And then I had enough of a knowledge to, I see what he's doing. I see he took Hoagie Carmichael and he did a reference to the Beatles as a song that's got, we'll mention it. And so he has a huge palette. And that's why it's so brilliant. That's why it's so good, because it's not just one type of music.
Right.
It's many, and he's turning things inside out, which I love, and doing that. So I was able to do that and have fun with that.
When you make a spoof, do you hear from the creators of the original play?
Yes,
often?
usually.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we did them in New York.
Are they ever like, you son of a bitch, or is it always like...
Not to my face. Because, in show business, you have to pretend you...
Right, yeah, exactly.
But I do know that some of the artists, the writer... And then, I appreciate the writers. Like I said earlier, Stephen Sondheim was a friend of Forbidden Broadway. Because I think he appreciated that I was doing wordplay and stuff like that. And then also that, you're playing off-Broadway in a cabaret. There's no threat of me... displacing Sweeney Todd. But Lin-Manuel, he knew about Forbidden Broadway. And I remember reading an article where he said, he couldn't wait till our cast album that spoofed Rent, in 1995 came out, and he rushed to the store to get it.
Wow, that's amazing.
So I knew he liked that, and I had been out for drinks with him briefly once before. So I thought he might like it. And he did. He came in previews, and I could see him and Tommy Kail, and they were just laughing their heads off.
What's it like when he shows up? Is your cast like, ooh, like a little more jittery?
Oh, I don't think so. I think the actors love it. We all love it.
Yeah.
When celebrities come, and they do. So some celebrities are more embracing of the whole parody thing than others. But over the years, we've had a lot of celebrities and writers that have come. But he came, and then he brought. The show is. I thought, well, what am I going to do with this? How do I spoof Hamilton? Mm-hmm. Because it's really about Aaron Burr and Alexander Hamilton, and he's done it very well. I can't do that. So I thought, well, I've got to make it about Lin-Manuel writing Hamilton. So that's what I've done. So when you see Hamilton, you'll see it's sort of this fantasy. It's not true. This wild fantasy on what made him write Hamilton and how he did it.
I loved the song, actually, because you just brought it up. I'm not sure where it sits in the run of the play itself, but it is basically exactly that. It's like the story of Lin-Manuel, like sitting on a train and writing the song.
Oh, yeah.
And, yeah, exactly. So I thought it was great. It like hooked me like immediately. It's also, it has that, because as somebody who is not like into hip hop, not into rap, but it has that meter to it, and it sounds like a hip hop song. Are you drawing specifically from, I'm talking musically now, not just like the way the words are flowing out of it. You drawing directly from Hamilton? Did you look at like a wide spectrum of different like hip hop to get that type of? Because that's a very specific cadence to it.
I would say basically I'm using the songs from Hamilton, and we have permission from him to do. He's very good sport about it, and his producers too. So, but I've really turned it inside out. I've like said the opposite of what he's saying.
Yeah.
But a lot of it, like the opening number you just referred to in my shot, they are the songs from the show, just with new lyrics.
Gotcha.
And then kind of inverse of his lyrics. So sometimes I'm using his rhymes and things like that, but turned it so it's got a new meaning. But and then I had, Forbidden Broadway type fun with it. I stuck other Broadway stars in Hamilton, like Bernadette Peters and Liza Minnelli, and because I thought, well, not only should this be about Lin-Manuel, how he wrote it, but it should be about how did it affect Broadway? How did it turn Broadway? And I thought, these poor, great old stars, like, what are they going to do? And it's true. What are they going to do now? Broadway turned into this new type of adventure, and what does Bernadette Peters look for, Patti LuPone look for to do? What does Liza Minnelli do?
This is an interesting take, too, because there's somebody not just geographically removed from Broadway, but also somebody who's not like, we talked about this a bit before. I'm aware of musical theater. I'm not like the biggest musical theater person. So I knew about Hamilton, but I don't think about the downstream effects afterwards of how it would have impacted Broadway. And it sounds like it did quite immensely.
It is, right. And it's in the way this statement is disappointing, but it's true. There hasn't been a major show since Hamilton, really. That's the last really great Broadway show. I'm sorry to offend some new Tony Award winners, which are great. They're good. But nothing like Hamilton that really changed the face of what musical theater could be. It expanded it, which is what it should be.
Is that good? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's the tradition of musical theater. It was American musical theater expanded on European operetta and American vaudeville and American folk music, and it took it and opened it up. Oh, it can also do this. And it can be in a story, and we can tell the story with the music and. And it's taking many elements of American history and Western civilization history and using it in a different way. So it was always expanding it. That's what Roger Hammerstein did.
Yeah.
And then Sondheim continued that, and I think Lin-Manuel has continued that.
It's funny, you talked about there hadn't been a show of that magnitude in 40 years when Hamilton came on. When I was growing up in the 90s, and it's not musical theater, but it was obviously influenced by musical theater because the people who wrote them, Howard Ashman and Alan Menken, they came from the... I grew up with Disney musicals, and that's how the concept of this art itself was presented to me, and an entire generation of people. So it's funny that you can take something that has its inspiration here and then plug it into a different medium and then have it plug back the other way. I think it's how a lot of people probably in my generation ended up getting into musical theater.
Sure. Well, even myself, you know, my parents weren't theater goers when I was young. Now, I was educated in classical music, but most of my exposure to classic American musical theater was from movies. And Disney. And they would go back and forth over the years. You know, Broadway would pick up from movie musicals and vice versa.
Creatively or with the actual talent, like moving talent from...
Both.
Really?
Both.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I mean, we were talking about some classic American writers from New York, somebody like Irving Berlin. They all went to Hollywood and wrote a lot of things for Hollywood, you know. And then Hammerstein mostly figured out how to make the songs progress the story. And even Disney picked up on that, like when you talk about The Little Mermaid. The songs are progressing the story. That's Howard and Alan, they're doing that. They're from that, they're cut from the same cloth.
Yes, well, there's this song, and you would know the name of this, when it's like when an ingenue sings like what she wants. I think there's a specific name.
Oh, well, they call it the I Want song.
I think that's a very
broad term for something. You sort of are on board with them.
Yeah, I had been unfamiliar with that term, but then when you hear it, it's okay, that makes sense. That's exactly what she's singing in that Dingle Hopper song, whatever it is. And so, you know, like for an audience that is not used to this medium, it's a very easy entree point for them if you don't understand it sophisticatedly, like you know what it's trying to do. And it sounds like that's something that is used in a lot of musical theater, not just exactly that I Want song, but like conveying wants and needs, almost like soliloquies, but they do it through song. Does that make sense?
Yes, that's a very good way of putting it.
Okay.
That's a very good thought.
Is it? All right, good, nice. I have an English literature degree, but you know, I very rarely get to use it. You know, dramatists also moved into Hollywood. Arthur Miller wrote screenplays, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the greater exposure, money. You know, a lot of the Broadway ones went out in the 30s to write for movies because there was a depression in New York, but not in Hollywood, so they all went out there.
It's fine.
You know, some of them stayed,
Do you have any brushes with Hollywood?
No, not really. We did a Forbidden Hollywood. You can decide this for yourselves or the audience can. My stuff is like it's comedy, and a lot of people laugh, but it's a little too edgy for comedy, you know. That said, I sang in the choruses of all those, you know, Aladdin and Little Mermaid and Pocahontas and all of that.
That's amazing. Which song?
Let's see.
Sorry, I have two very small children, so like I can recite all of these from memory.
Oh, I'm one of the bad guys that chases Aladdin in
Incredible.
One Jump.
Yeah, One Jump. Yeah.
Stop thief. That's me.
Oh my gosh! The next time I listen,
it even kind of looks like me. What I looked like at the time, you know, kind of beardy.
I'm going to do a screening of Aladdin tonight.
I mean, I think they had already drawn it, and they thought, oh, he looks like.
Let's plug him in there.
So, and you know, Prince Ali. Anytime you hear chorus. And also in Pocahontas. So,
that's fantastic.
Yeah. Because I used to be a performer, and I knew Alan Menken, and he knew David Friedman, who I worked with years ago. You know, all that inside stuff.
Yeah.
So, Gerard's a good bass. I was a bass baritone, so they would call me in to do that.
It's a rare voice, actually, I feel.
You think it is?
Isn't it? Because most men are tenors, aren't they?
No, I don't know. I'm a bass baritone. Oh, my river ocean.
That was also very nice. I think musically, and we were talking about this before too, just musical theater to me, the way the songs are structured is not generally just a verse, a chorus, a verse, a chorus. There are certainly ones that are like that.
No, it isn't. No, and maybe you could tell me about that. Why are all songs verse, chorus now? Because the AABA form took hundreds of years to develop. Like Lemon Engel, where I studied musical theater with him at the BMI workshop, would talk about that. You can see it developing through the Middle Ages and into the Renaissance and the AABA song. there were two main forms,
Yeah.
AABA and ABAC, right? And none of the writers use them anymore. I'm amazed by that.
It is, I don't know, it's weird. I guess it's just whatever, something gets trendy, they know it's going to sell, so you do that. But it's also
Okay.
just easier to wrap your head around as somebody who writes songs, not as well as other people can. But I mean, you have a verse, then you have a chorus. So these are two little components like Lego pieces, right? So I have those. I don't have to worry about the second verse because I already have a verse. I just change the words.
Right.
And sometimes I don't even change the words, right?
Well, in the development of the American song with the AABA, if you go way back in time, if you go back to like 1200 AD, all songs are verse chorus. Like it came in later.
Really?
Yeah. And then it's it. I mean, you do American folk. I
Yeah.
bet you're not doing always verse chorus.
No, not always. And often by design, I will not do it because I know it's what an audience expects. And another thing you do is false choruses or drop choruses or like, put a bridge in front of the
I
first
hear
chorus
that,
instead of
yeah.
the second chorus or the third chorus, whatever.
Yeah, sometimes I hear a verse chorus song with a bridge in the middle.
Yeah.
It's not really a bridge, it's like a different section.
Yeah, I think the Beatles called it a middle eight, I think was the term that they
that makes
used.
sense.
But
But the AABA song is totally, I mean, that's what all Roger Hammerstein are.
yeah.
And you know the title right off. It repeats. And you can do all sorts of variations on it. You can make it longer, like Cole Porter. It's very concise. You have to be really sharp. That's why I mentioned Irving Berlin. You have to get your idea in an AABA or an ABAC. Like a classic one, I'm sure you know this, Irving Berlin, White Christmas.
Oh yeah,
That's
of course.
ABAC, right? But see how concise it is, and it gets you. You hear it, and you go like, oh.
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost like Emily Dickinson poetry. You know Emily Dickinson?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, very short, precise poem with these like gem of thoughts. I feel like, oh yeah, I never thought of life that way.
Yes.
Or that.
To me, that concise usage of words is what, even more than musically for me, probably because I'm more of a writer than I am a musician, though I consider myself both, to be able to get that phrasing across so quickly and the meaning of what you're going for, and then a level above that to say something new that I haven't heard, that's constrained by that structure is amazing to me that people can do something.
It's like a sharp knife. It's like sharpening a knife.
Yes,
really sharp
100%,
knife.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
so it's a
Irving Berlin.
sushi knife as opposed to like using a butter knife.
Right. And you have to, and then you can't mix metaphors. You have to get right to the point.
Right.
You have to. I don't know. I'm enamored of it, but what we do nowadays is what we do, and that can be very effective too.
Yeah. For you, this is a big question. How did you get into this to begin with, and then from the writing side of it, do you do words first? Do you music first? Do they kind of like work with each other?
Well, I do write my own songs, but I'm not, not famous for that. But no, I guess words first. I guess it's the idea.
Yeah.
Like sometimes through the years, like even with Spamilton, like people would say like, "Oh, he's not writing. You're not writing," and then I'd feel guilty and I'd feel bad, and I go like, "Oh no." Then I realized, oh, I am writing. I'm figuring out what to write, because the idea, that's the hardest part. You go like, oh, this would make a good thought. This is a fun way of looking at something. This is going to be funny. This is interesting. So that takes the idea.
Do you have an example of that? Sorry to.
Well, let's talk about Spamilton.
Sure. Please.
Okay. So Spamilton, like as I said earlier, I wasn't sure how to approach it because he wrote a great show about Alexander Hamilton and Aaron Burr, right? How do I turn that inside out? And I thought, well, I can do this or I can do that. I can make it about Burr. And I thought, I'll be meta musical. Sondheim used to say, he said, oh, it's meta musical. And Sondheim said that to me. I said, what's that? And he said, well, don't you know what that is? You invented it. That's like a musical that comments on itself, right?
And then you just nodded, of course.
So that's what Spamilton is. It's a meta-musical version of Hamilton. It's like Lin-Manuel writing Hamilton.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, okay, now I got it. Okay, I'm going to make it about that. And I'm going to make it about how he arrived at it. And I'm going to make it about, then I thought, well, what's the conflict? Even in a review, you got to think about this, right?
Yeah.
So the conflict is that he's afraid of like cliche Broadway, like the Phantom of the Opera and Wicked and Cats. He's afraid of those type of musicals. He wants to write something that isn't that.
Okay.
And by God, he did. right? So that's the conflict in the story. And I thought, okay, now I've got it. Now we can go through and take his songs and just turn them inside out, always based on that thread.
So once you have that like guiding light, it must make it much easier to find the words that fit for each one of these.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
It's an interesting way to look at it. Sorry, the first half of the question too. How did you get into musical theater or theater in general? Really?
Oh, okay. Well, you have like 5 hours now. I'll tell you.
Let me just lean back.
So, all right, you got to put me in context. Okay, so you noticed I talked about my name being Italian. I came from an Italian-American background, right? My family was heavily into opera.
Okay.
Right, and I was immediately, like, I knew opera much more when I was 4 than most people do in their age.
Wow, that is a unique.
I loved it. I still love it. But it's musical theater.
Yeah.
I mean, people, they don't like it when I say that. But opera it's musical and it's theater. It's telling these stories. Madame Butterfly, she marries, a husband leaves her, she has the baby, she kills herself. That's a pretty heavy story, right? And a lot of story. And even the operettas, the Viennese operettas, they're full of light stories like Deflate a Mouse, where it's funny, but the lyrics are funny, but it's very melodic. So I knew all of that stuff before I was 5 or 6. Okay, didn't know musical theater really. I started to learn musical theater in the 60s when the big movies came out, like musical movies like The Sound of Music, Mary Poppins, Disney was doing them, had a lot of them. Summer Magic, Haley Mills one I like. This is a completely different generation than you. And then, of course, they would reissue all the old ones like Snow White and Pinocchio. Yeah. So, I was getting it through Disney, too. So, and then I discovered I had a singing voice. So
how'd that happen? How did you discover that?
Because I was just singing operas everywhere.
I love it.
And then later on it became When You Wish Upon a Star, and just singing that stuff, and I loved it. And and my father sang, and it was not. They didn't go like, oh my God, he did sing voice. We all sang in the family.
Did they sing professionally, or was this just around the house?
Yeah, my father did when he was younger professionally. I had an aunt, Alba, who sang professionally for a long time.
Wow.
Doing opera and stuff like that. And she has a wonderful son who was a writer too. So I don't know. It was not anything unusual in my family. It was unusual for my school friends, but it was not unusual. But musical theater had a big swelling or comeback in the 1960s because of those movies. Yeah. So it became very popular, and there was still a lot of big Broadway shows at that time, like Hello Dolly and Maine. They were all popping up. So that was
Bye Bye Birdie came out in the 60s. Right?
Bye Bye Birdie was right. That was one of the first.
And then the movie
I saw.
too.
Although I was more impressed with Anne Margaret than I was with anything else.
I'm still impressed by Anne Margaret when I look back on it.
I have some food for you guys.
With food?
Bring some food up.
Oh, really?
Yeah, sure.
Well, for decoration, that's fine. Oh, sure.
That's
fine.
We'll bring it up.
Okay.
Oh, isn't that cool? That's great.
Thank you.
So then I went to, in high school, this is very common, right? They're doing Oklahoma. I got cast as Curly.
Okay.
Right? And broke my leg on the...
Oh my God, how did that happen?
Oh, there's a fight scene in the middle of the farmer and the cowman dance. And being kind of a nice voice, good-looking guy, but a klutz, I broke my leg.
Oh my gosh.
But there was no understudy, so I had to go on the next night in the cast, and I did. But anyway, that was my start in musical theater. Then
you literally broke a leg.
I broke a leg.
So I'm sure you've heard that 9,000 times.
And that was not going to keep me off the stage.
I love it.
I have pictures of me doing the whole next, singing "Oh, the Beautiful Morning" in crutches, and oh wow, how elegant!
Thank you very much.
Oh my God!
It's right there for you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Don't worry, feel free to eat. I have multiple audios, so I will catch you chewing.
Great.
Paper napkins. We have chips.
Thank you very much.
Oh my
These are
God!
the queso short rib tacos.
Okay.
It's here for you, son.
Thank you. I
So
appreciate
nice of you. Thank you. Boy, they must like your TV show.
it. Yeah, clearly, yeah.
But,
Sweet.
They heard your singing voice. I think that's actually.
Yeah. So then I did Guys and Dolls and Fiddler on the Roof and Camelot. We did them all.
Yeah.
And I usually played the lead. I didn't look like the way I look now. And so I thought, and then I would go to a voice teacher, and my father would say like, oh, you're going to make a great Scarpia in Tosca. You know what that role?
No, I assume it's an opera, but
Yeah, it's a bass baritone role, and very villainous, evil man Scarpia.
your father said this to you.
Yeah. Well, it's a great opera role.
Okay, well, it's a good role.
But being a cute 18-year-old, I didn't want to play that. I wanted to do a carousel. So I went into, but I started studying opera at the Boston Conservatory of Music No, at BU, and I took a modern drama course with Elliot Norton. He was a great critic in Boston at the time.
Okay.
And he had a TV show and everything. And he would teach modern drama. And at one point, I didn't interact with him much, but at one point he said, "Oh, you need to be in theater. You need to leave musical theater and be in theater." I still do not know what he saw in me.
Really
I had
interesting.
Very little interaction with him, but because it was mostly a lecture. But and so I transferred into theater, and then I got a degree in music and theater from the Boston Conservatory of Music. And then most everybody there at that point was very talented. Matter of fact, most all the people in my class ended up in Broadway and movies.
Really? That's interesting too.
You know, so I guess the school was very good at that point.
Was there anyone particularly famous in your
Well,
alumni?
let's see. Lynn Tucci's a good friend of mine. She did many shows. She was in Orange Is the New Black for years.
Okay.
And won a award from SAG. Josie de Guzman went right to Broadway, did a revival of West Side Story and Runaways, and works on Broadway all the time. Chloe Webb, who is in the original, did movies like Sid and Nancy and Practical Magic.
Okay.
And
I love Practical.
Tales of the City.
Yep.
She had a nice career. Michael Corbett, who is a TV
Michael
person.
Corbett?
Yeah. Right. We
Yeah.
were friends. He was like in school. Right. Yeah. You know Michael
Yeah, I do.
Corbett?
Yeah, I love it.
Right. Yeah. We all had great careers.
What a crucible, though, to like be around that many people who are clearly very talented.
Right.
And then
Many more that I'm not
Yeah.
mentioning. But right. And then later when I started doing Broadway, I started asking, "You want to be in the show? You want to be in the show?" So I got a good education there. And then everybody, because they were all so talented, moved right to New York. That's what you did. You graduated.
Yeah.
You moved to New York. My first apartment was sharing with Michael Corbett.
Really? Okay,
Right. Yeah,
interesting.
so, although he was doing much better financially than I was with,
That's the best type of roommate.
Well, he's doing all that TV work, Anyway, so I was off and running. I came to New York, did the route. I worked as a waiter, and then
Yep.
thought, and I would do a lot of musicals and operettas in New York, and I'd go touring and things like that. But I thought, well, eventually I don't want to do something somebody has already done before, even though I love them, even though I love the Roger Hammerstein
I
things
love
and
that.
Kismet and the Fantastics.
Yeah.
I thought, well, I want to write my own for myself. So I wrote Forbidden Broadway. for
How
myself.
old are you in this?
Forbidden Broadway, I was about 25 or 26.
Wow, unbelievable. So
Yeah.
quite young.
Yeah. But I'd been in New York about 3-4 years, which they say is what it took back then to get, And then before I could figure out what name I was, it was being written up in the New York Times. Like I said, I don't think I would have picked Gerard Alessandrini.
You were forced to use your own name.
Well, once it was all over the place, I mean, it was very nice.
Yeah.
It was, that part of it was very lovely. It was overnight fame, And all the celebrities came, and all the stars, big stars would come to the show. It was like really the hot thing to do.
Well, that time frame, I'm trying to think of.
It's the mid 80s,
Okay,
or
so-
early 80s.
Okay. Who would be there? What are some of the names?
Oh, like Cher and
Cher.
yeah, like
John Patrick Shanley, by the way, Moonstruck. Star.
no, but I wouldn't be surprised. Who else? Elizabeth Taylor, Prince Rainier.
Wow.
Who else?
But you're 25, 26 years old meeting
all
these
the
people. Yeah.
Stephen Sondheim, Hal Prince.
Gosh.
I was more impressed. Name a star from that era. They all came, and although none of us offered me movie jobs. But see, they offered Chloe Webb was in it with me, and Warren Beatty came one night.
Warren Beatty, wow.
And offered her a couple of roles in movies.
Really?
Warren Beatty and who's this friend that was a star, now he's a producer. Oh, I'm having a senior moment. Very famous Hollywood personality. Tony, he started out as an actor, and he ended up producing. And I think he was
Don't
one
know,
of
I
the
feel like I
producers on
should know,
Cinema.
given my own
Yeah, you
background,
should. He stepped behind the scenes. And he's like Warren Beatty. Anyways, they got her a part in Sid and Nancy, and
Wow,
Dee Hodey, Jason Alexander.
Oh, well,
he
gosh,
was in.
amazing.
He didn't come to Forbidden. He was in Forbidden Broadway.
Really?
Yeah.
Was that one of the first things you must have done?
Yeah, so they all had great.
Because he was young even when Seinfeld started. He was like 29 years old, right?
He was, yeah. Well, we were all young.
Yeah.
That was the beauty of it, and you'll see with Spamilton too that it's a young cast, and I love that.
That's
giving
wonderful.
young because young people thumbing their nose at the people that have already made it.
Yeah.
That's part of the joy of it. So.
I think so. I mean, that's part of the come up, right? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right.
And it's the same touring cast that goes around, and
Yes, it is. Yeah.
okay.
Well, we have. We do switch out. We have members that they get another job somewhere, so they do. but we've been touring this company for a good 3-4 years.
Young people who are looking at the theater right now, it's a very interesting time because you can just film yourself and put yourself to potentially a very large audience right now if you have a phone, right?
Right.
So it's different than it has been in the past. You don't need somebody to cast you necessarily to be in front of a camera. I'm not talking about camera, but just to perform, right? To do something that most of the time does not have a camera, but you have a live audience and you get to perform and you get to express yourself creatively. Like, why the theater for somebody who's young right now? What would draw them to the theater?
I think the same thing as it always was. It's a way to people take you seriously in the industry because there might be movie people or TV people that see you, and it's a good way to get experience. Because even if you're on camera, you have to keep going, you have to show up, you have to be there, you have to be able to present yourself. So live theater is a great way to learn to do that.
It's a much different form of acting, too.
Yeah.
Just perform in general.
Yeah.
I would think it's almost more like being a musician or a comedian, than being a...
Right, it's usually a
film
lot
actor.
of, especially musical theater, is presentational. It's sometimes it's too presentational. And sometimes
that
I
mean?
see movie actors and they're too inner. They're so inner you're not getting it.
Yeah.
And then in theater, it's really the opposite. You have to really be out there. I was looking at some performances by classic Shakespearean actors from the mid-20th century. I'm talking way back.
Okay.
Yeah, now you can see all this video. Richard Burton, John Gielgud.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how kind of they're saying they're not being presentational in a musical theater way. They're still in the scene and they're still being characters, but they're turned slightly out. And it's amazing how they have this skill of, like, they're showing you their heart or something. Now, these are the best of the best.
Sure.
But boy, is that a different and lost art form of performing.
Now I'm being self-conscious because this whole time I've been sitting, I'm like, am I cheating enough to the camera?
Oh, well, there you go.
Because my mother was like, you're always in profile. Why are you always in profile? So I was trying to do this, and now I'm hyper aware of it.
Take a look, right? Look at the camera as well. Well, this is sort of presentational, isn't it? We're talking. Hello out there. Hello.
This is all bullshit.
Peter pointing this way.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
But if we were doing a dramatic scene like, I don't like what you did to my wife. You've got to stop killing my wife.
That voice. You got to stop killing my wife.
Yeah, then they all sort of talk like this.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
But sometimes the film acting gets translated to the theater, and because of mics now, you can do it. So I hate it when an actor turns up stage, show his back and say a line, and you can hear him, but you're not really in there with him. I want to be part of.
So what makes a great young actor now in the theater? Not just a young actor. What makes a great actor in the theater? Because it's a fine balance, I would think, to you don't want to overdo it.
Well, that's it. It's like you don't. Well, ask Liza Minnelli about overdoing it. Maybe
We'll text her right now.
Maybe you do want to put it out there. What makes a great actor? Well, it's somehow communicating with the audience. Mm-hmm. Now, there's different forms of that. You could be singing. You could be talking, you could be in a drama, you could be in a musical. But you want to connect with the audience. That's what it is in live theater. And yes, that's true in movies too. The best movie stars, you know what they're thinking and you're there with them.
Yeah, I think that's a special skill too, to do it so, you said inner, but very withdrawn. You're so constrained. You don't have an audience to play off of. Yeah. It's six guys with a clipboard.
I think it's just luck in a way. It's what we call talent because some people, I saw a movie with Kirsten Dunst yesterday, and you can tell she's a wonderful actress, and you can her eyes are so expressive. Yeah. You can tell what she's thinking. Now, a lot of that just has to do with talent and luck. Her eyes are expressive, so she can be thinking something, and you can feel it too. So that's always been true of theater also.
Yeah, I do think there is something there, probably also in music or anyone who's presenting themselves publicly, the eyes always, right? I talk about this with my wife often. I've watched The Sopranos way too many times, but James Gandolfini, just what he could do with his eyeballs.
Oh.
I don't understand how a human being can do what he does with his eyes, right? There's tons of
Maybe
great
you need to know.
performances.
Maybe he was just being honest with the material.
Maybe it was actually murdering people.
And then, all the classic, what did Marilyn Monroe have that made us relate to her so well, still to this day?
Yeah, because it's not just the looks, right? And I think people get hung up on that sometimes. And obviously that helps significantly.
Well, let's think of an actor who didn't look but was great.
Well, Steve Buscemi, this is a weird jump from Marilyn Monroe to Steve Buscemi.
Well, no, that's all the same thing, really. Yeah, it's not about the looks. I don't think I mean, there were many beautiful women in Hollywood, of
course,
in Marilyn Monroe era, and she was one of the most, but not the only.
Right.
But what does she have that when you see her in a movie, you identify with her?
Yeah, why her and not James Mansfield, who was a big star,
Right.
obviously, but why Marilyn more than Jane, right?
Yeah.
So there's something intangible about all of it. I'm changing tracks here, I apologize. I took a playwriting class in college, and it was one of my favorite classes that I took. It's my only brush with any of this at all. Though I did play Bernardo in West Side Story once.
There you go.
Yeah, I was like, he looks Puerto Rican enough. The coolest thing to me about that class, and one of the coolest moments of my life, was to write something and then see people saying my words on stage. Because I've only had it once, you've made a career out of doing it. But do you ever lose that? Is it still amazing just to like see people?
Oh no, it's amazing.
Yeah,
it's amazing. And then you ever hear of the actor's nightmare when somebody thrusts you on stage, you're the star, go, and you don't know any lines?
I don't need this. You planted a seed in my brain.
I have the writer's nightmare, which is they start doing my show, and they're saying my words, and then they start saying something else. And I say, I didn't write that, And then I run to the front of the stage and I say, stop. And I turn to the audience and say, I didn't write those lines. Those aren't the lines I wrote. The writer's nightmare.
That sounds horrible, and now it's in my brain, and I'm probably going to have it tonight. Gerard, you're a really, really fascinating person. You're an incredibly talented person. It was so nice to talk to you. Thank you so much. Great luck with the show and the tour and everything.
Likewise. Well, you're very talented and interesting too. So
thank you so much. What a nice thing to say. I don't know that I'm just wanted to.
Keep going. I think whatever you do, you're going to do well. Thanks for letting me ramble all that stuff.
No, I appreciate it. I would listen to you
go
all
listen
day.
to some Urban Berlin. Right.
On my drive home, that's what I'll be doing.
Yeah. What is great stuff? My favorite, one of my favorites is Face the Music and Dance, which has this really short bridge. Soon we'll be without the moon, humming a different tune. That's the whole bridge.
That rang a bell in my head.
Yeah, no, you probably know all these. They've been around. I didn't mean to give you a lesson, but
no, not at all.
But if you're into American folk, like what's now you write American folk songs. Do you mind me keep talking for a while?
No, we can keep talking. No, it doesn't matter. I really like. I mean, obviously Bob Dylan's like the one that like people go back to all the time. But there's some great ones, relatively contemporary, a little bit older than me, like 10 years older than me. But a guy named Dustin Kensrue is absolutely fantastic. Another guy named Connor Oberst. He had a band called Bright Eyes. He's a great folk singer, great writer. Yeah, fantastic. To me, it was what we talked about earlier, the way you can tell a story in a song, but also your concise usage of words. Like you only have X amount of words to get your point across. And you were able to do it in a way that I haven't heard and that spoke to me in a way that like I was not expecting this to do. And something like Dustin Kensrue, and I'm not like a hyper-religious person, but he writes a lot of like almost like spiritual folk songs, which I've never liked. My mom like would listen to that stuff all the time, so I had like a distaste for it. Then I heard him and I'd be like, oh, well, this is how you do it. If you want to say something, this is the way to put it forward. So I don't know.
Yeah, that's the best way.
It inspires you, and then like you steal from them a little bit, but like you put in your own work.
Express yourself.
Yeah.
And we need more good songwriters. So
no kidding. I feel like there's a dearth of them right now. Doesn't dearth mean a lot, actually? Yeah. Anyway, Gerard, thank you very much. Cheers.
Thank you so much. That was fun.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Did we cover everything in the world?
I think so.